When my husband's father died, when he died, the silence in the house changed. It wasn't grief, it was calculation. Every footstep became quieter. Every door closed softer. Even my husband's touch felt rehearsed. I noticed it the night he stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, saying nothing, just listening. When he hung up, he smiled at me, a smile stretched too wide, teeth too deliberate. Something inside me stilled. The next morning, the lawyer came. He didn't look at me when he read the will. An estate, $33 million in stocks, all to my husband. Not a cent mentioned for me. I kept my face blank. My husband's father had adored me, or so I thought. But the will had no trace of that affection, only omission, intentional and surgical. After the funeral, he poured himself a drink and said without turning around, "You should start packing. Find somewhere else to die. You're useless now." The words slid out of him like oil, no hesitation, no remorse, just contempt. I didn't speak, I simply nodded, walked to the kitchen, and poured myself water because my hands were trembling. That was all he saw of me, stillness. He believed that meant defeat. It didn't. The call came 2 hours later, from my lawyer. I told him what had happened. He laughed. A deep, genuine laugh that made my chest tighten. "Is your husband that dumb?" he asked. And then, after a pause, "Just read the email I'll send you in 5 minutes." He hung up before I could ask why. 5 minutes later, the email arrived. Subject line, "Your silence is your weapon." Attached were files I didn't recognize. Contracts, statements, correspondence between my husband and his father's financial advisor. I opened one, then another, then another. It took me 5 minutes to understand what I was looking at, and then it took me an hour to stop shaking. The stocks weren't his inheritance, they were mine. His father had signed the transfer before he died. The estate, the accounts, all placed under a trust that bore my name. My husband was only listed as a caretaker until the final signature was processed. Mine. The day he told me to leave was the same day the trust would have become irrevocable, had I signed the papers waiting quietly in my inbox. I didn't sleep that night, not out of fear, out of clarity. He thought I'd gone the next morning. My side of the closet was empty, my suitcase missing. He didn't notice that my car was parked a block away. He didn't notice I was still inside the house, standing behind the half-open study door, listening. He was on the phone again. "Everything's in motion," he said. "Once she's gone, we'll finalize the transfer. I'll send you the account numbers." A pause. Then a voice from the other side. Female, low, intimate. Good. Finally. Her, our accountant. She had been in my house 100 times, sitting across from me at the table, sipping coffee, explaining tax brackets with rehearsed politeness. And now she was whispering to my husband about my disappearance like it was part of their design. I stood there until my pulse stopped racing, until I could hear my heartbeat slow down, controlled, deliberate. Then I turned away. For 3 days I lived as if nothing had happened. Breakfast, laundry, smiles. While he played his game, I played mine. Every night I opened my lawyer's folder. Every morning I added evidence, screenshots, statements, audio recordings. Not for court, not for police, for him. This wasn't about justice. This was about truth. The confrontation came quietly. He was sitting in the study, going through papers he didn't understand. The stocks, the trust, the estate, he believed they already belonged to him. I walked in, placed a single envelope on the desk. He didn't look up. "What now?" he muttered. "Read," I said. He opened it. The first page was the trust certificate, his father's signature, the clause naming me the sole beneficiary. The second page was the conversation with his accountant, transcribed word for word. The third was a signed confirmation of the stock transfer, already processed. By the time he reached the last page, his hands were shaking. He looked up, eyes darting to mine. "You?" "Yes," I said. "Me." I didn't raise my voice, didn't move. Stillness carries more weight than rage ever will. "I called my lawyer," I continued, calmly. "He handled the final signature. It's done. Everything your father left is now mine. Every cent you tried to steal." He stood. The color drained from his face. "You can't—" "I already did." The silence that followed wasn't peace. It was suffocation. He reached for the papers, desperate. His eyes flicked through the lines again and again, searching for a loophole, a mistake. There was none. When he looked back at me, he was smaller. Not physically, just smaller. Stripped of certainty, stripped of arrogance. I leaned forward slightly. "You told me to find somewhere else to die." I let the pause linger. "So I did. The woman you married is gone." He fell into the chair, face pale, jaw trembling. I turned to leave. My steps were soundless. At the door, I stopped. "Oh," I said, almost as an afterthought. "Your accountant has been dismissed. She'll receive her notice this afternoon. I hope you two enjoyed your last transaction together." He didn't answer. He couldn't. Outside, the air was cold, sharp. It bit my lungs in a way that felt cleansing. I didn't look back at the house. It wasn't a home anymore. It was a monument to deceit. His, not mine. The estate was mine now, yes, but the real inheritance was something quieter. Control, detachment, clarity. People think revenge feels like victory. It doesn't. It feels like silence. A silence so complete it swallows every scream that once lived in you. As I drove away, the lawyer's final words echoed in my mind. "Your silence is your weapon." He was right. My husband had used words to break me. I used silence to bury him. And now, he gets to live in the grave he dug himself. I didn't destroy him. I just stopped pretending he mattered.